You know, motivation may come and go, but especially as the year comes to a close, I think a lot of us are thinking more about the person that we want to grow into.
Yeah, and for more on the importance of self-reflection, we are having a deep conversation with host and podcaster and all-around driven person, Jay Martin Jr. Hello.
Hi.
Y'all look good.
Oh, you too. Bringing the fashion.
I try.
It's a good way to get invited back to compliment us. Thank you very much. You know, you have so many projects on your plate, but today we're here and excited to chat about your podcast, The Drive Project. So talk to us about what inspired you to jump into this podcasting space.
Well, I actually have to give more of a shout out to my friend who pushed me into starting it because, you know, growing up, I was very insecure of my voice. You know, I come from having a lot of family members, siblings, and I didn't have the deep voice that everybody, you know. I had the higher voice. I sound more like my grandmother. And so, you know, I was very insecure of my voice. And one day, my friend, Andrew Coleman Smith, in 2018, he said, Jay, you should start a podcast and like tell stories and interview people, stories of hope. And I was like, well, nobody wants to hear me. Listen to this voice. He says, no, it's soothing.
It is soothing.
I guess that's what he said. But but people will really enjoy just hearing. And so I remember sitting in the living room and very nervous, thinking that I should be in a full-blown studio. But I just took what I had and I just pushed the button and started recording. And it was so freeing to just be me and go forward and not wait for what I thought I should be and just embracing who I was at that time. And so it's been 6 years now, and it's with Converge Media now, and it's a beautiful experience. It's really healing.
Yeah, no, props to you for going for 6 years on a podcast too, because a lot of people start them and then it becomes grueling, so they'll drop off. So I'm so glad you're doing that. And you touch on so many great life lessons. We're talking love, success, dealing with failure. Talk to us about how being self-aware has been really important, and it's important for everyone if we want to grow.
Yes, you know, and like I was just saying earlier, I dealt with insecurities of my own voice, and my grandma, I give everything to her credit because she was my hero, still my hero. And you know, one of the things she said to me was, when you discover how beautiful you are, the world is going to become beautiful to you. You need to know your value and not trying to find it through other people, but really taking time out for you to discover the gift that is on the inside. And so I think that's a big thing I try to tell people is really understanding who you are and knowing what you bring to the table is so important, because if you're looking for other people, they may give you scraps. And so you have to realize you deserve a seat at the table. And so really just knowing who you are and sitting with that and discovering that is so important. So knowing your gift, knowing your talents, the value, all of that is so important.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's just one of the toughest things to do. Absolutely. So your latest episode actually just dropped yesterday. Special focus on anyone who is feeling maybe a little bit overwhelmed, like so many of us are this season. So I have to know, what are your go-tos when you're feeling overwhelmed?
You know, it's interesting because there's two ways for me looking at overwhelm, and there's probably a lot of different ways, but for me it could be negative, thinking about the past, and that can overwhelm you, like I can't change the past, which it's just impossible to do. But then you can also be thinking about what is coming. That can be overwhelming, and that's kind of like me right now. It's like I have so many different things that's happening, and it's a blessing. I'm very grateful. But what I do is I try to just pause myself, and no matter what it is, I pause all the voices of this is what's happening, what's next, and I kind of just sit with myself and find a space to be grateful for where I'm at right now. Because sometimes when you're overwhelmed, it's because you're trying to reach for things that you just cannot control. And so what I can control is where I'm at. And I kind of just breathe. I go for walks. I love to run. I love to work out. Shout out to F45 in Kirkland. That's a really big thing for me, is just to pause and just be in the moment and breathe. Because a lot of times we are really just holding our breath trying to go from one thing to the next.
You're right.
And I think it's important to focus just in that moment on what you have, and being thankful is a big, especially we're in the Thanksgiving season. So it's just important to be thankful for what you have right now.
I love that.
That's how I do it.
It sounds so easy, just breathe, but like you really do have to remind yourself to do it sometimes. I do it every day when I get stressed out. Let's talk about the podcast, because it's kind of bite-sized, right? So your episodes are under under 30 minutes. Why did you decide to kind of keep it short and sweet and, you know, talk all about that?
You know, it's interesting. I started out with them being about 30 minutes, and then I thought about my kids. I have 3 wonderful children, and they are go-getters. But I think about the attention span of people today. We don't really have the time like we used to where we could sit for hours and hours and just kind of veg out on stuff.
Yeah.
And so I try to think of the person that maybe is in the car, on the way, doing something, going for a walk, and I just decided to change it and only just give myself. Before I was interviewing a lot of people, and I'll probably get back into that again, but right now I feel like I just want to give people myself and little moments of how I've gotten through things, not over, through. That's a totally different thing.
Beautiful.
When we skip over things, we might miss something. I try to share on how I got through something, getting all the lessons and learning and growing. So I think I just changed it so people could just like take it in, kind of like a shot of coffee or something. You know, like boom, I'm going right into it. So right out the gate. Yeah.
Jay, thank you so much for visiting with us today. This has been amazing. And we do have more on the Drive Project podcast on our website, fox13seattle.com/studio13live.
Yay, we finally made it happen. We got to have you on.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thank you.